So I'm going to talk about three very separate issues quite rapidly. Um, and the three issues I'm going to talk about are inland lake shorelines. Although some of it applies to the Great Lakes, I'm talking specifically about inland lakes. I'm going to talk about PFAS, per and polyfluorinated alkyl substances, and how that's affecting our drinking water throughout the state, including West Michigan. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about climate and our inland lakes. We love our lakes in Michigan. We enjoy recreating in them. We enjoy making and creating memories, and it gives us a sense of place, right? Our water gives us a sense of place. It's not just the Great Lakes, although those, definitely, especially here, influence our lives. But it's our inland waters as well. I would say, unfortunately, we love them maybe a little too hard. So this is not an uncommon sight in Michigan where we have maybe 50-foot shorelines. We removed most of the vegetation, including trees, including shrubs, including flowers and grasses and sedges. And when we do that and replace with long grass, lots of erosion happens. And so we have to stop that erosion to protect our properties. And so we harden the shoreline with seawalls or with rock riprap or other methods. So it stops the erosion, but that now has a dramatic impact on the ecology and the ecosystem that is the lake, from the fish that utilize those shallow waters to the specific birds that can only use that type of vegetation on the shoreline, but that can be gone. This is a very dramatic thing in Michigan and in the upper Midwest. Here's a picture from the Midwest Glacial Lakes Partnership. This is a map showing shoreland disturbance. And so this, accompanied with a study that was done in 2012, showed that 70% of our inland lakes over 10 acres are highly disturbed when it looks at shorelines. So highly disturbed means we removed much of the vegetation and we have some disturbances from that. So 70% of all lakes south of Gaylord, and this shows it. Oh, by the way, Michigan has over just about 11,000 inland lakes in the state. Part of it's not just about the removal of habitat and what that can do to the lake's water quality and habitat. We also do other things. So here's a Google image of a lake in southern Michigan, and here's the shoreline, and here are the houses, and then the road right behind the houses. Here's a game I like to play. Where's the septic systems? This is not a sewered lake, so this doesn't have a sewer line. Where are the septic systems? These are 45-foot lots. The road is right in the backyard. So there can be remnant septic systems that maybe are in the front yard. Some septic systems back in the day weren't systems at all. They were pipes into the water. You can imagine all the things that happen with that. Even if you have functioning septic systems, that can still, depending on the soil type, create problems for the lake. So that you can have a brand new system, but on very sandy soil and high water table, which is often what we see here in West Michigan, we could be leaching nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, and Ashley alluded to with harmful algal blooms and other things. But then there's also other things that come along with our waste. If we're on pharmaceuticals, or we're washing our hair with shampoo, or we've drank a lot of coffee this morning, soil doesn't filter everything. So we have to remember that when it comes to our impacts on our surface waters from on our shoreline. That doesn't mean we should abandon septic systems. There's just different technologies out there to help with those other issues.
Or coffee, right? I mean, we can still drink coffee.
You can still, I'm not saying don't drink coffee, yeah. However, it is very interesting, the things, is Ashley, oh, okay, because I think also, yeah, alcohol. Well, I think, and I wish Ashley was here to confirm it, but they found there's I think NOAA leads a mussel watch, and they look for contaminants, and some of the interesting things, like they found, they found a drug, it's not methamphetamines, it was something else, of drug use, and they're finding in the tissue of the mussels in Lake Erie, I believe. Anyway, so there are programs, I definitely don't, I'm going to be talking kind of a downer issues and stuff, but there's always hope. We can do things that mitigate those issues, and the Michigan Natural Shoreline Partnership is one of them, whose mission is to protect Michigan's lakes by promoting best practices. Okay, hard transition to PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Has anyone heard of them? Okay, good. And why have we heard of them? Yeah, they're forever. There was a news thing that hit in Rockford, right? And that got in the news, but then because of that, the reaction of the state was to begin to look for it. And, because we want to make sure we're not drinking all over the place, especially schools and stuff. So surveying programs and monitoring programs have been put into place. But anyway, so for people who haven't heard much about PFAS, again, it stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. There are thousands of them. You can break them into long chain and short chain, and that means different things like, does it accumulate in our brains or does it accumulate in our tissue? And other things like that, which we don't necessarily know is good or bad in some circumstances. But we have started to see some evidence that it impacts our health. Some of them have been manufactured since the 40s. They're persistent in the environment and in the human body. Our kidneys don't readily get rid of them, and so they accumulate. They don't break down and can bioaccumulate over time. The bonds if there's any chemistry people in here, the bonds between fluorine and carbon are very strong, and they don't break down readily. So that's what they're made out of. So here's an image. If you are interested in looking at this interactive web page, it's the Environment Working Group and Northeastern University put out this. And here's they show the whole nation, but here are our sites of PFAS contamination in West Michigan, where we are. So there's White Lake right there. This is from a survey of schools. Does anyone know what that's right there is? That's the Discovery School. That's daycare center. They found it's under drinking water standards. So take that. It's under the standard of 70 parts per trillion. It's not of one of the labeled. So there's thousands of them. They found a precursor compound. I don't want to go into it too much, but it's not a PFAS yet, but it could turn into one. We call them precursor compounds. And they found that at very, very low levels. I think 4 parts per trillion. Parts per trillion is some crazy number. So tiny. It's so tiny. And here are Rockford sites that have I don't remember, it might be 40,000 parts per trillion in some of that water. So, it's really high. Anyway, so there's been a response. It's called MPART, the Michigan PFAS Action Response Team. And if you have any questions about this is a great resource out there. Okay, so just now to move quickly through this last one, our warming climate. NASA's come out, so and 2019 is our second warmest year on record. Let's look a little more locally. We've had a temperature increase over the average from 1900 till now of above 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit in the Great Lakes region, which is quite high and higher than average than the globe. What does this mean? We have warming temperatures. Well, this has impacts on our environment here. If people are gardeners, we know our plant hardiness zones. And you can see I can comfortably plant a pecan tree here if I want to now. So we have quite the change that has occurred. Okay, what does that mean for our lakes? Let's talk about water, right? So here's a study that was done not too many years ago in 2017 that showed our lakes our surface temperature is increasing in our water across the glacial states here. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, water levels, it means a lot, but here's one thing. So here's from the Midwest Glacial Lakes Partnership Conservation Planning Tool again. On the left is so this is Newaygo County. Here's Newaygo County on the left and the right. Every dot, no matter the color, is a lake over 10 acres. And this is Fremont Lake right there. Just to orient yourself. The blue dots are lakes in 2018 that's shown to be predicted to be naturally reproducing walleye lakes. In 2050, it's predicted that there will be no naturally reproducing walleye lakes in Newaygo County. And we love walleye, right? That's one of our beloved fish. So that's what a warming temperature, without getting into the now specifics of it, but that's what warming can mean. So no need to feel down, right? It's, let's take a deep breath. Individuals and local communities can do a lot. And then this can trickle up into, being the bigger problems that we see in the state and federal levels, but local communities, local individuals can do a lot. There are people currently in Minnesota and Wisconsin working to increase the resiliency of lakes that have cold water fish like Cisco, and they're doing that, they're combating climate change by helping the watershed around the lakes. Protecting the watersheds helps buffer the impacts of climate change. So that's individuals and communities starting to be like, you know what, we can do something, we're going to do something. It might be kind of hard, but we can do it. I'll take the hug. I'm okay, May. I'm not too down. So we can still use our resources, we can still love them, we can still move forward with these issues in mind and do something about them. So thank you for that quick one, and I don't think I'm going to take any questions because I'll wait for the panel.
You can be good to go with that?
Yes.
Okay. That was well done. Let's give them a hand.